Hello, my name is Angela, and I read a fantasy book called The Assassin Bride by Anastasis Blythe. I'm giving a book report for my literary assessment course, and I have read and analyzed the book's main concepts, which I hope you'll find interesting. And so I'll talk about the characters, the setting, the plot, the author's writing style, the thoughts and feelings, things like that. The main characters are Nadira. She is a trained assassin, and the Never Seen King, who is the mysterious Sultan of Erbasa. Some minor characters are Ishi, Nadira's best friend, and she's a master thief. Jabber, who trained Nadira to become an assassin when she was a little girl, and he hires her out to assassinate people, and he hates the Never Seen King. And then we have 10 young women from Erbasa, which I will talk about later. Book summary, plot, and setting. There are 12 highly skilled female assassins, thieves, and warriors that are kidnapped from a kingdom called Erbasa and forced into a deadly competition inside the Never Seen King's palace. The competition has become the Never Seen King's wife. There's a lot of mystery surrounding the Never Seen King and the competition, but Nadira is determined to find the reasons. She finds that the king and palace are filled with magic and his attention is focused on her, but she has no desire to become his prisoner or his wife. An evil begins stirring inside the palace, and Nadira is constantly fighting for her life. Okay, let me go back here for the character analysis. So our main character, Nadira, her parents were murdered at a really young age, and she was forced to become an assassin as a child. Jabber took her in and trained her. And one thing that sets her apart from other assassins is that she leaves apology notes next to her victims, because being an assassin is not something she wants to do. And these are innocent people that she's killing. She is somebody who's brave, but also terrified at the same time. She's constantly terrified of Jabber and losing her only friend, Ishi, and she's scared of the person that she's become. Her motivation throughout the whole story is to escape the Never Seen King's palace and from Jabber, but to do that, she has to uncover the truth about the Never Seen King and the mysteries inside the palace. Because of her past, she has built up walls around herself to keep other people out, to keep from getting hurt. And by the end of the book, she starts to feel things again for people. And the Never Seen King, he is the Sultan of this place called Erbasa, but he's kind of absent. Nobody really sees him. The whole kingdom is in poverty, and so people are not so happy with him. So for unknown reasons, he disguises his face. He doesn't like just wear a hood to disguise his face. It's like he's almost like a 3D shadow. You can't really you couldn't throw back his hood and look at his face. It's just like through magic, you're just not able to see him. And he can even lean up against a wall and he'll just look like a shadow on the wall. So it's rumored that he takes a new bride every 100 years, but no one knows what happens to those brides or why he wants to take them. But throughout the story, he uses magic in different ways, like appearing, disappearing at random. He has healing abilities. Not much is known about his past in the book. It doesn't really talk about that too much, but like Nadira, he has also put up walls of his own because he's lost people and he slowly starts to let his guard down too. So both characters have pasts, really troubled pasts, and they've lost people that they've loved and cared about, and they've built up walls to keep people out so they don't have to be scared of losing anybody again. But over time, they start to open themselves up to trust and care about other people again. Plot analysis. There's just a lot of stuff in this book, so I'll try not to cram too much in. But the Never Seen King, he kidnaps 12 highly skilled women who are experts at fighting and brings them to the palace. The competition is announced, and the winner will become queen of Erbasa. The competition consists of deadly games such as fighting goblins, racing through a deadly maze in pure darkness, and trying to kill each other. So some women want to be queen. That sounds really good to them, but some women do not, like Nadira, who just finds being forced to marry a stranger just as another form of slavery. The Neverseen King warns the girls to never open their doors at night. The one girl learns the hard way because she's so fine. Nadira explores the palace, and during the day, she notices that each door appears to be magical. Like there's dirt coming out from underneath one, there's vines crawling on another door. Another door has these huge chains across them. Another door, you could hear like a river or a stream behind it. So there's a lot of magic in this palace. The Neverseen King favors Nadira, and they start to become more familiar with each other. He shows her that the doors are actually portals into other worlds. And plot twist, he admits that he's Fae, and it's his job to make sure that nothing escapes the portals by using magic, but he needs a human bride to help. But he only wants the best fighter. But you don't really find out why until later. The story doesn't fully explain that yet. But he tells Nadira that if she agrees to marry him, then the competition will end. And that freaks her out. She doesn't want to marry him. But come to find out, somebody is opening these portals and letting the creatures just wreak havoc all over the place. So the Neverseen King, Nadira, Ishi, and some of the other girls fight to get these creatures back in these portals and close the portals, but a lot of the girls end up dying because of it. And another plot twist, Nadira discovers that she has ice magic. There was a time where she was under great emotional distress, and she found out she has ice powers, and so she uses that to fight the creatures coming out of the portals. And another plot twist is that Jabber is standing outside the palace towards the end of the book with a small army demanding that the Neverseen King give up his throne. And Jabber has been working behind the scenes to overthrow the king, because he feels that Arabassa has been neglected. And so he was behind the portals opening. He reveals that he is also Fae, which is crazy. And he killed Nadira's parents so he could steal her magic when she finally came of age, or it revealed itself. So a big fight happens. Nadira ends up killing Jabber, and she agrees to marry the king. But I didn't realize that there was actually 2 books. So now I have to wait all the way till November to find out what happens. But because there were so many plot twists and action sequences, it was a little hard to tell where the actual conflict in the story took place. But if I had to guess, I would say it was when all the portals were opened and they all had to fight this, and then Jabber at the very end with his small army. So writing style and language. I would describe the author's writing style as colorful, expressive, at times overly descriptive. I like that she gave the main character so much inner dialogue, because you really got to know the main character a lot and understand her and the reasons behind her actions. But there was some times where it felt a little repetitive. Like, I don't need to know every single thought every time something happens, because it actually disrupted the flow of some events. Like, there would be some really cool action sequence, and it was like they would pause to let us know what Nadira was thinking. And so I don't know. I do feel that her writing style made you feel like you were right there with the characters and made you feel their emotions, which made the story really exciting. And this is just an example of some dialogue. I thought that was really kind of cool. Personal reflection. So I picked this book because I love romance and fantasy, and sometimes it takes me a little while to get into a book, but this book started off with action right away. This book takes place in a culture that I'm unfamiliar with, so I didn't know if I would connect with the characters, or it would just be too far removed from what I'm familiar with. But it actually added to the story. It actually made the story a lot more interesting. And I also appreciated that the main characters were able to connect with each other despite their trauma, and they were able to find comfort in each other because they understood one another. There wasn't much that I disliked about the book other than what I mentioned before, like the overuse of inner dialogue. I did find that there were connections to real life. through the character Nadira. Her parents were murdered. She was kidnapped by a man who physically and emotionally abused her. She was forced to kill innocent people. So she experienced a lot of severe trauma. And throughout the book, she would describe herself as a cold-blooded killer, wretched, terrible. So she just did not think very well of herself. And during assassination jobs, she would actually disassociate while she was killing her victims. And she would have frequent panic attacks throughout the story. And I think people who have experienced trauma in their lives would be able to connect with Nadira, and they would be able to connect with how difficult it is for her to get close to people. But I also think readers will appreciate that she slowly was able to let her guard down, let people in, even though it wasn't easy. But they could see her emotions, how she just is happier and emotionally more healthy when she allows herself to be cared for and allows herself to care for other people. So in conclusion, it had a lot of action. It had a lot of fantasy elements, mystery, romance. So I feel like this book would appeal to a lot of different readers. It wasn't overly graphic with the killing. It was clean, so I don't feel weird recommending it to my friends. And I believe it would be appropriate for young adults and older adults. So overall, I really loved this story. So I would recommend it to other people. But okay, that concludes my book report. Thank you so much for letting us do this. I love to read. So when I saw that I could do a book report, I was all over that. But thank you so much.